Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Aram George with you today, and today we're going to start with the first lesson after the coronavirus pandemic. We're going to start with the Global English book with Unit 8, which is Habitat Interactions, which is basically a unit about animals, where they live, and what happens there. So, the first thing I want from you guys is to grab your books and follow up with me. First, of course, we're going to know our objectives. So we're going to start today with reading a text on page 63, then answer its questions. Then we're going to explain the present passive, and of course, we will have many examples about that. Finally, we're going to use skimming and scanning to answer questions and find the vocabulary, which will be in page 64 and 65. So, if you opened your books, the first thing that you would find in page 63 is that we have a text about plants, two processes that happen with plants. We're going to read these processes for a certain reason, that we want to know some answers about the questions that are given after that. The first one is having an equation which is missing. So we're going to try to find what's missing in these two equations. So I'm going to start reading the photosynthesis uh, process, which is plants take in carbon dioxide from the air through their leaves. They take up water from the ground through their roots, combined with the energy from sunlight. This makes the plants release oxygen into the air and produces glucose in the plant. The oxygen is released into the air through the leaves. The glucose is needed by the plant for energy. This process is called photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide plus a missing thing that I will give you an opportunity to stop the video and try to find what's missing in this equation. Of course, what's missing here is water. The other text, I will give you time also to stop the video and start finding what's missing here. In the aerobic respiration, the missing thing is, of course, oxygen. Okay, so now we're going to move to another exercise. In this exercise, which is exercise 6, we will find why are these parts from the plants are important. So I will give you time again to stop the video and go back to find the importance of leaves, roots, sunlight, and glucose. The purpose from this process is not to waste time, since we want to find our important things without wasting much time. So we will start looking directly to the things that we need. So why are leaves important? I guess you found the answer, which is they take the carbon dioxide and release oxygen. There's an important thing here. You probably found it in the first line that these leaves take the carbon dioxide and thought that that's it, they don't do any other thing. But if you continue the video, you would find that there is another job for these leaves, so which is releasing oxygen. So never find the information and stop. Try to finish the whole text to find if there is any other use for these parts that you're looking for. The second thing, of course, is roots. The roots take water from the ground, which is an obvious thing. The third thing is sunlight. It's needed for the photosynthesis. The fourth thing is glucose, and that's an extremely important thing for energy. The next thing that we're going to explain is something that the students are already familiar with, which is the present passive, since we already dealt with that in book 7. So the first question would be logical. Why do we even use passive? Of course, there is a reason. It's not an arbitrary thing. The reason is that when we use passive, we don't know who did the action, or sometimes we don't even care who did it. The most important that the action happened itself. So we have 4 steps to do that. These 4 steps are: first one, delete the subject, and the second one would be to bring the object to the beginning of the sentence. The third one would be to use a suitable auxiliary verb, which is the same as a helping verb as known for others. Here in this case, for present passive, it's going to be only three options, either is, are, or sometimes, in a rare occasions, we have am. The fourth and most important one would be to change the verb to past participle. No other verb should be used. If you have ing, if you have ed, anything else in your, or what I mean, the past tense would be wrong. So only the past participle. The next thing is having examples to make this concept very clear for you. The first one, we would have an active sentence, which is a simple one. They make cars in Japan. Of course, we would like to know where's the subject that we're going to delete and where's the object? What will we do with the verb? All these questions should be asked. So, of course, here the pronoun they is the subject of this sentence. Then make is a verb. Then we would have cars as object. And finally, in Japan, which would be the prepositional phrase, which we wouldn't care about in this case. We would just leave it the same by the end of the solving. So, how do you think this sentence would be solved? I would give you time to stop the video and try for an answer for this one. As we explained before, cars, which is the object, would come to the beginning of the sentence. Then we would have a helping verb or auxiliary verb, which in this case would be are, of course, because we would know what's the difference between singular and plural in this case. And the verb make, which is made is the past participle for it for sure. You would notice that in Japan is the same in both the cases. Of course, this is optional for you guys if you want to add who did the action. In this case, we know that those people did it. In other cases, we might not. So we added this between brackets by them. So the sentence would be cars are made in Japan by them. We would have another example to make the idea clearer. The example is the leaves release the oxygen. Here we don't even have any prepositional phrases or any other things, so things would be much easier for you. So try to bring the object or delete the subject at the beginning and then to change or bring a helping verb in this case. If you guessed right, then you would know that the leaves are the subject and releases the verb, the oxygen is the object. So of course, the solution would be the oxygen is released by the leaves, and that's optional again. You might or you might not use it. Why did we use the helping verb? The auxiliary verb is because oxygen is apparently singular. The next slide is going to be a friendly test for your ability in recognizing passive and active. So I would like you to think of the action happens on or sometimes when somebody known doing the action. So in all these sentences that we have here, which are 18, we would find that some of them are or should be passive and some of them should be active. So I'm going to give you time again to stop the video and start knowing each one. After that, the answers will be given by me with explanation. The first sentence would be, football is a popular sport, a dash in many countries in the world. So the answer here would be, is played of course, which is a passive sentence. Why? Because football simply cannot play itself. There should be 11 players or 22 playing it. The second one would be, many movies dash in Hollywood every year. Do you think movies can do themselves? So of course, the answer here would be are made because there are people who are doing these movies. Number three would be, I often go to the library and dash some books to read. Here I think the subject is already mentioned, which is I. So the answer would be clearly A. I borrow some books to read. Number four would be, our office dash the cleaning crew every evening. So here our office. Do you think the answer would be our office cleans the cleaning crew? Well, that would be very weird. So the answer apparently is B, a passive sentence. Our office is cleaned by the cleaning crew. Number 5 would be the restaurant chef dash really great food. So of course it's going to be the restaurant chef B cooks really great food. The doer of the action is already mentioned, which is the chef. Number 6 would be millions of people dash in airplanes every year. So millions of people are flown? That wouldn't make sense at all. So fly in airplanes every year. Number 7 would be New Year's Day dash on January 1 in most countries of the world. So do you think it's New Year's Day is celebrated or celebrates? Of course, the answer would be A because the New Year's Day cannot celebrate itself. There should be people celebrating that. Number 8 would be sometimes my older sister dash me with my homework. So sometimes my older sister helps me with my homework because the doer of the action is already known, which is the sister, and apparently it's older than the boy. 9. He's famous actor. He dash all over the world. I would find it impossible if he knows all the words, so I would say that is A is known, a passive sentence. 10. Our final exams dash at the end of the school year. So our final exams are given because final exams cannot give itself. There should be teachers, principals, all these people who can give it. 11. Most people dash Norwegian in Norway. So most people are spoken? Of course not. People speak. So it's going to be A. 12. Our newspaper dash every morning before 8 o'clock. Newspaper cannot deliver itself, so it would be A. Is delivered. 13. I dash a shower after I come home from work. So I take a shower. Apparently, this is an active sentence. 14. My classmates dash the answer to question number 6. Of course, it's my classmate knows the answer. The doer of the action is already mentioned, the classmate. Number 15. Sports fishermen dash fish in a river near my home. So the answer would be sports fishermen catch fish in a river near my home, which is again an active sentence. 16. Cats dash mice, which is a very known rule. So it's definitely cats dash mice would be cats eat mice. 17. When my car breaks down, it dash mechanics at the garage. So of course it's going to be when my car breaks down, it is fixed because I don't think cars can repair itself. Number 18, which is the last one, the animals at the zoo dash John, the zookeeper, so are fed by or feed. I don't think that animal can feed human, so it's going to be are fed by this man, John. I hope that most of your answers were right here because that was the end of the subject of present passive. Now we're going to move to the last thing for today, which is using the skimming and scanning processes to read a text. First, I will read the text and then I will give you a time to stop it and find the answers after that. So if I would start the text titled or entitled Richard Tourier, Inventor. Richard Tourier has always enjoyed making things using old household appliances and machines. For example, when he was quite young, he made fans for his parents' house from car parts and things he found in the junkyard. Richard lives on the edge of the Nairobi National Park in Kenya. The park is full of rhino, giraffe, buffalo, and lions. Since he was 9, Richard has had the job of looking after his family's cows, goats, and sheep. The big problem has been the lions. I grew up hating lions, says Richard. They used to come at night and feed on the cattle when we were sleeping. Then, one night, as he was walking around with a torch, he noticed something. I discovered that lions were scared of moving lights. Lions are naturally afraid of people. Richard realized that the lions linked the moving torchlight with people. So they stayed away. Using some bulbs and wires, Richard set up a series of flashing lights to give the impression that people were walking around the land where the animals were kept. The lions didn't come near. Soon other families were using his lion lights. Richard's lion lights cost just $10 to make. They have not only helped the farmers, but also the lions. Many lions have been killed by farmers trying to protect their animals. Now, across Kenya, Richard's idea has been adopted by farmers to protect their animals from predators and to protect their crops from elephants. Richard has been offered a scholarship at one of Kenya's top schools. 1 year ago, I was just a boy herding my father's cows. Now I want to be an engineer and a pilot. After reading this great text about this boy, Richard, which is really phenomenal, we would try to find some vocabulary. It's required from us in exercise number 3. This is going to be easy for us since we know how to use the context, and if you don't, I would try to explain it in simple words. Understanding words from context is to find the other words surrounding your word. You would understand what's the word mean from the other words. So if you're reading a text and you're really puzzled with one of the words and you don't know its meaning, you should always try to read it once and twice to find what the other words surrounding it are referring to this word. This would be really helpful for you guys if you try it. So I would give you time to try to find the vocabulary that are given in exercise number 3, and then I will give you the answers after that. So I hope that you found at least 6 of the words here. So the first one was a description given pieces of electrical equipments like washing machines and ovens used in people's houses. If you guess the answer right, then you're good in this one. This one is appliances. Number 1 was appliances. Now the second one would be a place where old unwanted things can be left, bought and sold, and I'm sure that we all been in such a place. This place is called the junkyard. Number 3 would be the side, the part that is furthest from the center. This one is the edge. Number 4 is a small electric light that you carry in your hand, which is definitely the torch. Number 5 is predator. What's a predator? It's the animal that kills and eats other animals, just like lions. Number 6 would be plants grown by farmers for food. These are definitely dealt with in the book of grade 7, which were called crops. Number 7 would be keeping animals together in a group. That's called herding. Number 8, someone who designs or builds things such as roads, railways, bridges, or machines. And I'm sure that most of my students had this dream of becoming engineers. The last word for us today would be someone who flies a plane, and this should be really easy one, which is a pilot. Moving to exercise number 4 in page 65, we would notice that we have 4 questions, and these questions may have varied answers. So I would give you time again to go and scan the text as much as you can and find the 4 questions. The first question was, how does Richard's early life relate to his ambition now? Of course, the answer would be he was interested in how things work. He was always enjoying that. And now he wants to be an engineer. So that would be the first answer. Number 2 would be, why is Richard's invention good for man and nature? It's a logical thing actually, since it keeps lions away from the cattle. The third question is, why is Richard's invention such a good idea? It's a good idea for a certain reason because it's not expensive, which is a really good reason. Last one is, how has Richard's invention changed his life? don't you think that his life was changed at the end? Of course it was. So the answer would be he has been offered a scholarship in one of the best schools in his country, which is Kenya. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the lesson and you understood. The last thing that I would like you to do is to solve only one page, which is page 47 as a homework. Thank you so much again for watching.